Hello and welcome to Ruck N Roll once again, where we look back on the weekend's action in what happened at the Dialogue Schools Rugby League 2024. This was the penultimate week of the schools rugby action because we will decide who goes through to the second round. We'll look back at all those fixtures and tell you exactly who did make it to the top 4 teams who will battle for the league title. For the rest of the teams, unfortunately, it's goodbye for now until the knockout tournament comes along. But we had some superb performances, even from some teams that didn't make it. Let's look back at the last bunch of fixtures.
Rock and roll.
As usual, let's look back at the scores from last weekend by Seat. The road is yours.
Seat Car Radials. The road is yours.
It was all to play for some teams in this weekend's fixtures and a lot to play for some of the other teams. And these were 2 of those teams. St. Joseph's taking on Wesley College and St. Joseph's hosting that one. Expected to go a little bit closer after their big win against Kingswood last week. But unfortunately for them, Wesley were really good on the day. They made a few positional changes, managed to score a bonus point, get 5 tries as well. And Abdul Hadi converting 3 of those and putting over a penalty. It was a convincing win for Wesley, showing exactly why they're the third place team in Group 2A, and I think they would be a real threat in the knockouts. So congratulations to Wesley for a triumphant end to their season so far, their league season, I should say. Zahira coming up to number 4 in Group 2A. Didn't expect to see that a couple of weeks ago, but they did manage to do really well, beat Kingswood College 38 points to 0, and it's unfortunate for Kingswood. They just don't seem to be able to find that cutting edge to score a few tries and at least put some respectability on the scoreboard. We have to ask what that program is doing, and Kings would really need to get their act together. We would have to ask, do some of these teams deserve to be in the A division? So unfortunately, a big 0 in all their columns, and Zahira managing to score 6 tries, converting 4 of them. Then we had that massive game to decide the top spot in Group 1A and who goes through in the second position as well. Isipatana were the firm favorites going into that game, and St. Thomas's absolutely had to win. So they had everything to play for in this game. A lot of anticipation in the Thomian camp leading into this game as well, because they'd been getting better and better. But unfortunately for them, they came up against this green rock that didn't budge, and Isipatana managed to score 7 tries, St. Thomas's scoring 4. So 11 tries in all, 68 points scored in that game in just 70 minutes. So a point a minute almost. It really was a fantastic game of rugby, and it was just in the end that through the magic of Shahid Zumri that Isipatana managed to pull away from that game. He really took control of that game in the second half, and it was wonderful to see how he performed. So that was a superb effort from the Green Machine, who go through in number 1 position, and will take on the teams from the other end of the draw, which is St. Peter's and Royal. Then we had Royal taking on Thurston. After that defeat last week, Royal were looking to come back strongly, and that's exactly what they did. They just weren't able to beat the century mark, of course. Managed to get 97 points, 15 tries in all they scored, and they converted 11 of those tries, but just not enough to get that 100-point mark. And you have to feel sorry for Thurston. They have certainly not been able to trouble the scorers in the win column, and they have had a season to forget. Really is something that we have to keep asking ourselves. Do these teams belong in the same category of play as teams like Royal? Then we had Vidyartha who took on St. Peter's. And last week, you remember I said that this was a match I was really looking forward to. But unfortunately for me and other neutrals, Vidyartha failed to show up in Nittawala. It was St. Peter's that dominated from the start. And against a team that likes to run the ball like Vidyartha, it's always asking for trouble if you lose the ball, which is something that they did. 42 points to 3. That St. Peter's backs absolutely running riot. 6 tries for them, all 6 of those converted as well, which shows that they were easy tries that they scored in the end. But it was an entertaining game. It was nice to see some really fast, open, running rugby from both teams. Vidyartha did not die wandering, and they really tried their hardest, but unfortunately only managed a penalty for their efforts. A real dominant performance by the Peterites. We had a bottom of the table clash again. Sri Sumangala versus St. Anthony's. St. Anthony's winning that one 25 points to 17. A close game in the end between these two wooden spoonists, and it was St. Anthony's who managed 3 tries to Sumangala's 2, and managing to get a really rare win for them this season. Then we had DS taking on Science. We expected this match also to be a little closer than it was, but since that whole referee incident at the Air Force grounds on the 30th of June, Science College have seen their season going from bad to worse. Unfortunately for them, they just managed 12 points, and DS managed their bonus point, but they did as much as they could, just couldn't do enough to get through in the number 2 position after losses to Isipatana in the last gasp, and of course a convincing loss to St. Thomas's, which is the one result that really derailed their season. We'll talk more about that as we proceed in the show as well. Trinity doing absolutely what they needed to get through to the second round. They needed to make sure that they beat Tadmaraja with a bonus point before the start of this weekend's fixtures. That's exactly what they did. I'm sure Fazil Marija will be a little bit upset that they managed to let in those 2 tries late in the game, but they managed to score 6, convert 5, and that's a good return for Trinity, who will take that form with them into the second round.
Fiat Car Radials. The road is yours.
On Ruck N Roll, we like to talk and get up close and personal with the people who are making the news. And Trinity College was a team that really made the news this weekend. They went through to the second round for the first time in a long time in this format of the competition. We're speaking to former Trinity College captain and member of the Rugby Advisory Board of Trinity, who are preparing now for the second round. Murad Ranzeem, thanks a lot for joining us on Ruck N Roll. It must have been tenterhooks for you on the weekend. And explain to us your emotions while you were watching that game between Trinity and between St. Thomas's and Isipatana, wondering whether you will go through.
Well, yes, Shanak, I think, as you correctly said, we were on toes for sure. Well, first half was a little cooling for us, but then the first 10 minutes of the second half, St. Thomas's came hard at Isipatana and equaled the scores, and I think they almost took the lead at a point, or if I remember correct, but nevertheless it was a very close encounter for the first 10-15 minutes of the second half. But then I think Patana got a hang of it, where they managed to score some easy tries back to back, which actually took the game away from St. Thomas's, which actually eased our pressure.
Yes, you must have been very relieved at the end of that game that you've got through as one of the top 4 teams in the league, Murad. That's a big thing. You haven't really been in contention for the league since about 2014, when Tarinder Ratwat was still a player in the Trinity College jersey. So it must be a big achievement for you after all those years.
Yes, Shanagi, definitely yes. I think this is the first time that we are coming into the second round in this new format of the game or league in schools rugby in Sri Lanka. So definitely yes, I think we have some bad seasons after 2014, where we could not achieve what we actually expected to, and I think now we have somewhat better than where we were, and it's a process which we are, I think, gaining baby steps.
Yes, it is, and it's good to see that there is development year on year. Anuaskoti Tuakko's side has really done yourself proud, Murad, because you won that first game against St. Thomas's 31 points to 8 up in Pallakale. And at the end of the day, that's what turned out to be a really decisive point in your season, isn't it?
Yes, Shanak. I think starting from the St. Thomas's game, I think even though we had a few ups and downs in the season, we managed to get the bonus points, even though we lost 2 games. So I think along with that win with St. Thomas's, also contributing to our total points, I think the 2 bonus points, extra bonus points that we had, really made that difference.
And talk about those down moments as you described them, Murad. 2 losses against Isipatana and against DS. What did you do to pick the boys up after those losses? What was the mood in the camp and how did you manage to turn it around?
As you would know better than me for sure, like it was a hard task, to get the boys act together and get their momentum going. But I think the boys themselves, I mean, I don't think that we did anything. Their belief, they are eager to win. I think that's what brought us back to where we are today. But it's not that the journey is over. It's just that we have started the journey and a lot more to go.
Yeah, it looks like it's a side that is brimming with confidence now that they've made it through. Sometimes you just need a few things to go your way, and that's exactly what has happened for Trinity. But you've got a big match coming up against St. Peter's, a team that has been pretty much unstoppable this season, Murad. But what does Fazil Marija have in his bag of tricks to stop this Sanat Martis Peter's side?
We still haven't seen that St. Peter's bag from Fazil, but for sure he definitely has it, and he will bring it at the correct time. And I think it's again it's going match by match, and St. Peter's is our next challenge, which we have to have our own strategies to counter.
You've been having a little bit of a dip in form away from home, Murad, coming down to Colombo. How does that work? I mean, do you come down the day before? How hard is it to actually build in the infrastructure to make sure you give your lads a comfortable experience away from home?
We have tried to do our best within our capacities, coming one day before and getting the mental and physical conditioning, being ready to the game. I think one day is enough, in my opinion, and I think it's just that now you need to get used to traveling, playing, and that kind of because second round both games are in Colombo. Those are away games for us, so it's going to be no option but getting used to it and adapt to that.
And on a similar note, Murad, small schools like Trinity College, about 2,000 students, and up in Pallakale also, you don't really have the luxury of maybe picking an athlete from the basketball team or picking a runner from the athletics team and putting them into your rugby team. So it is actually quite difficult to build depth in a squad. And that's what we saw for St. Thomas's against Isipatana as well. They didn't really have the luxury of bringing on any fresh legs in the second half of that game. But how do you build depth in these smaller schools?
Shanaka, yes and no kind of an answer on that, because we do have cricket players, we do have soccer players in our team, even athletes and few other sports, if I'm not mistaken. But definitely from we have cricketers, football players, athletes in our squad this year. And now that the process has started, that as we see the results coming in our way, and it's just that we need to build that confidence on the process that we have created. I think that will definitely help us to build this depth.
Yeah, everybody loves to back a winner, don't they, Murad?
Yeah.
So the more games you win, the more younger boys will be interested in taking up rugby, and hopefully that will be a beginning of a revival for Trinity. So you've got St. Peter's coming up next. Good luck for that game. Murad, thanks so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, Shanghai.
Sure, we'll speak to you much more in the lead up to the rugby. Of course, we'll talk about that at the appropriate time. Thanks a lot, Murad.
Thanks, Shanghai.
That was Murad Ranzeem, the former captain of Trinity College and also now an advisor to the Trinity College team, and telling us exactly what it means for Trinity to get through to the second round of this tournament. Of course, Isipatana Royal and St. Peter's have been teams that have been there up at the top of the leaderboard many years. They've been so consistent, but for Trinity, it's the first time they're breaking through after a long time into this particular echelon of schools rugby. So let's see what they can bring to the party against these three giants of schools rugby.
Siat Car Radials. The road is yours.
Well, that's our show for this week. And of course, that's the show from some of our teams for this league as well in the 2024 season. Some of the teams will not be participating going forward. So we'll see as many as 6 teams go down from each group and 2 teams advancing. So make sure you stay tuned to Pod Hub, the Facebook page, as well as our YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe, and make sure you stay tuned to Ruck N Roll as we go forward and bring you the super round of the Schools Rugby League.